All right, let's go. Welcome to InView with Rahab's daughters, and of course, yours truly, EVE, and our beautiful founder, Sam. It's always a delight to see you, Sam, and get to share great information to our community every Monday. So stay tuned every Monday with great things. So, what are we talking about today, Sam, that our viewers really need to know?
So I'm going to talk a little bit about the upcoming Toronto Film Festival, Eve, and how, while it is not a sporting event, it is in fact one of the events that human trafficking can rise in, and we know that that is true whenever you have large-scale events, right? And the deal with the media and entertainment industry is that human trafficking has been a hidden piece of this in several ways. One, just simply exploitation of people
Mhm.
who want to work in the industry, right? And so many are lured in with the promise of, Hollywood or film sort of careers, and end up being forced to take roles in porn films in order to sort of set the stage, and then they never recover from that, so their actual film careers go awry, right? And it's quite problematic. We also have the further issue that beyond the glitz and the glamour, you know, the Toronto Film Festival has definitely had a strong tradition of showcasing films that tackle social issues, including human trafficking, which is definitely a positive piece of the film festival. And to be able to show and showcase modern day slavery is super important. And at the recent Kingston Film Festival, a film was released called Dark Highway, which I highly recommend folks watch, which is all about the trafficking of people up and down the 409 highway, which is a fairly major highway in Canada that sort of links Toronto up to Kingston and further up from there, and is certainly an interesting film that I highly recommend people watch, about how hidden and yet right in front of us human trafficking can be at the truck stops and at
Mhm.
the hotels and sort of so many other parts of how it happens, particularly during large events.
And people need to be mindful. We send our teenagers, young adults, they go out to these concerts, P Diddy and other artists. And I'm reason why I'm bringing up P Diddy, folks, and unbeknownst to me, obviously he had two homes raided, and we don't think about those things, Sam. We don't think that, hey, I went to this concert and now I'm hearing the news that this person has actually been involved or allegedly may have something to do with sex trafficking. Sad and sickening at the same time that these things have been going on, and people are not aware of this. So thank you for bringing it back up. In the film industry, in the music industry, human trafficking exists, people. And I was just reading up on Sam, on P Diddy being sued by a cartel, allegedly for ruining his drug business. And it's like,
That you
wow.
can sue for that is the first challenge, but anyway, I mean that's a little bit ludicrous, but also shows that there is lots of connection, right, between
Mhm,
drugs
mhm.
and media and music, and all these pieces fit together with human trafficking and organized crime and human smuggling and all these different pieces of the puzzle. And people think that human smuggling and human trafficking are the same thing, and they are not, right? So
Yeah.
human smuggling is one thing, which is moving people across borders, and sometimes that includes human trafficking. Other times human smuggling is to reunite people with families, to bring people out of other types of challenges, and human trafficking isn't a part of it, because for human trafficking there has to be force, fraud, and coercion
Right.
as part of the initiative. And just bringing someone across the border, for example, can be human smuggling, but may or may not include trafficking. Now, a lot of times there are trafficking pieces involved in this, right? So people brought over on container ships and forced to work either in labor camps or sex brothel type or situations to pay off their debt. That is definitely human trafficking. Human smuggling, on the other hand, would be having folks cross the border, having paid for that, sort of to happen, and then, just left on the other side to fend for themselves, sort of thing, which is not human trafficking. And there are obviously parts where this is connected and then parts where it's not. So, but I do think it's important to make the distinction.
It is important. And, some may say, well, we're just paying somebody to send our family member across the border. But they don't realize the repercussions, the consequences of doing that. $5,000, $10,000 you're paying someone to smuggle your child or send them through. It's dangerous. Tell us what could possibly happen on that.
I mean, we have definitely seen situations, right, where they're brought in and then held to a debt bondage situation for their passage and then forced to work in all sorts of terrible conditions in either sex or labor trafficking. So on ranches, on farms, in factories, on construction sites, in terms of labor trafficking, and of course, in brothels, nail salons, etc., for the sex trafficking piece. Restaurants are also a big one. And all of these have connection to large events like the Toronto Film Festival. And while the Toronto Film Festival itself has tried to shine a light on the dark reality of human trafficking by giving voices to the voiceless in the form of films, right? So they showed films like Whistleblower and Priceless and other films over the years. There's still the bottom line, which is that anytime you have a large scale event like the film festival, you're going to have a high influx of people, right? So the Toronto Film Festival draws a significant number of international and domestic visitors, including celebrities and industry professionals and the media. And large crowds make it easier for traffickers to operate and to operate undetected in order to exploit vulnerable individuals. And whenever you have a large population descend upon a city, you're going to see an increase in demand for various services, from hospitality to transportation to adult entertainment. And traffickers can really exploit this demand by forcing individuals to labor or sex exploitation because it has a set deadline, right? So the Toronto Film Festival is September 5th through the 15th this year, and it has a set amount of things that have to be done in time for it. And it often attracts a transient population. So you've got all sorts of people coming and going. This transience makes it difficult for authorities to really monitor and track criminal activities, including human trafficking. And this is where, a lack of awareness is also problematic, because despite the cultural prominence of events like TIFF, many attendees are not even aware that human trafficking will spike in this season. And that lack of awareness means that it's easy for the trafficking to go unnoticed. And that's one of the pieces that we want to really talk about today, right?
Right. So what's to expect now? Rahab's will be out there in Canada during that time of the film fest. What is it to be expected there?
Yeah, so we will definitely be doing outreach and prevention activities and providing support for any survivors that contact us on our 24/7 hotline. And we'll be doing research around the network. A lot of times trafficking operations are linked to organized crime, and they take advantage of large events to expand that activity and move victims from one location to the other. So, working with law enforcement, with payment companies, with banks to look at risk factors and flag them is definitely important. Because obviously during large events, law enforcement's stretched thin just on crowd control and security. And that means that potentially there's reduced attention to identifying trafficking. So by NGOs and volunteers coming together to supplement here, while we can't replace law enforcement in any shape or form, we are able to provide awareness and increased vigilance during the major events, and do public awareness campaigns and increase online monitoring so that we can be collaboration points with law enforcement to provide them with data that they can use to help combat this. And that, I think, is a big piece of the puzzle here, where the public can come together and help, right? So if you are John Q. Public and you want to help in this, please fill out a volunteer form, rahabsdaughters.ca or rahabsdaughters.org. Let us know that you want to man the phones or be out on the streets helping with awareness, and we will more than happy put you to work, because this is one of those situations where the more people are aware of what to look for, the better off we are as a whole.
Definitely. And so to our Canadians out there, brothers and sisters, we look forward to meeting you and hopefully make some great connections and start with new relationships out there, Sam, because I mean, Canada is our next door neighbor here to the US.
Yeah, absolutely. And, we've been now in Canada for a year and a half with our Toronto and Niagara offices. And so, being that it's in our backyard, it's necessary that we try to work to combat this, because while there are other areas that it happens in, like the Formula One in Montreal, the Stampede in Calgary, and many other things, the Toronto Film Festival is definitely one of them. And since we are HQ'd there for Canada, we look forward to helping with combating this year.
And we look forward to meeting everyone out there, meeting our chapter directors out there and the volunteers that are also giving back and showing that together we can make a difference. And Canadian brothers and sisters, we're coming in and we're expanding. And Sam, thank you for doing what you're doing, for being so thoughtful of saying we need to connect with Canada and now the UK, now in other areas of the world. I mean, globally, Rahab's Daughters is out there, people, and so we are seeking your help. No one is immune to human trafficking, and don't wait until it happens to you or next door to you to get involved. Join the movement and let's put a stop to human trafficking. May this touch your heart and also your pocket, because it does take money to move around and to help our survivors and to keep this organization going. It does take funds. So we're going to always ask you to donate. No amount is too small. Let's do $25 a month, people. If we spend that, or if not more, on one sit down at a bar, yeah, I have to talk to you. That's you. That it easily can cost you $50 to $100 just to sit down with 2 or 3 people and have drinks. And what difference have you made there, right?
Absolutely. And if you're considering signs to look for at TIFF to prevent trafficking, the first thing is to understand your surroundings, folks, right? And so are you being vigilant to behavioral indicators? So is the individual that you're talking to avoiding your eye contact in the airport, at the hotel lobby, at the bar, whatever? Is someone else answering questions for them? Are there any signs of anxiety or fear? Do people look visibly frightened, anxious, depressed? Are they reluctant to engage with others? And do they seem constantly on edge at the breakfast table? Or, I mean, a lot of folks will come down for breakfast and not realize that trafficking victims are right there too, because it's one of the times of day that they're able to eat. And just take a look around the breakfast table, guys, in the breakfast bar, and see what you're seeing, right? And make sure that if you see something, report it to our hotline 1-833-4-NEW-DAY, because victims might not even know exactly where they are. They might seem confused about their surroundings, or they might seem like they live there permanently, right? So these are both areas. And if you start striking up conversations at the breakfast buffet or in the queue to get in or whatever, please do talk to your neighbors and talk to the folks in line and try to understand what their work arrangements are. And if the stories seem inconsistent, this could definitely be a red flag. If the stories seem rehearsed, this could be a red flag, right? And aside from behavioral indicators, let's think about the physical indicators. So are there signs of abuse, bruises, scars, signs of any sort of physical harm? Is somebody grabbing them in the line and causing physical harm, like right there, children or adults, right? Is the physical condition of the person not great? Do they look like they have poor personal hygiene or a lack of medical care, or do they look malnourished? These could definitely indicate that they're not free to take care of themselves. Are they inappropriately clothed where they are, right? Scantily clad, clad for the weather? Do they seem to be underdressed? Do they seem to not be appropriately dressed for breakfast? And then obviously, do they seem to have a lack of personal belongings, guys, right? So what do the conditions look like? Do they have any personal items? Do they look like they have a phone or luggage? Like these days, who doesn't have a phone? Even children. So they seem to not have anything like that: phones, tablets, luggage, purses, those sorts of things. Do they seem to be living with their employer, right? Oftentimes, hotels and temporary accommodations, this is a situation. Are there any sort of unusual work conditions? People working long hours without breaks, potentially? And then, do they always seem accompanied by someone? So when you go to breakfast or to the bar at night or to, the executive lounge or whatever, does there seem to always be someone watching them from across the room or next to them? These could all be signs of trafficking, right? Are they not able to settle their own bills? Are their bills being settled by somebody else? Is there a sort of a reluctance or hesitation when they tell you who they are, where they live, or other things like that, right? And definitely paying with someone else's credit card is a big one, right? So if they're settling the bill not with a card that seems to have their name on it, then that's definitely something to consider. And if they tell you about frequent relocation or isolation, these are also things to consider. And if you suspect it, please call us or call the Canadian Human Trafficking Hotline at 1-833-900-1010, because everybody wants to know what's happening, right? And approach things with caution. And please call one of the hotlines versus getting involved yourself, or let hotel staff or wherever you are, let the staff know what you suspect is going on. So whether you're at a nightclub, at a bar, whatever, please let somebody know and call the hotline. It's super, super important.
What was the Canadian hotline one more time, Sam?
Yep, it's 1-833-900-1010.
And you will also see it on the screen below. You'll see the websites to our Canadian people. We do have rahabsdaughters.ca. And as Sam mentioned, the 800 hotline for US, 833-4-NEW-DAY, or for Canada, 833-900-1010. Why do we put these numbers out? Because you never know. Actually, if you have a business and you have a restaurant in those stalls, you don't have that information, please, why don't you post that? You never know. They'll come in and dining at your restaurant and they could be trafficked and they have to go use the restroom. Well, guess what? Now they have a way out that they can see. They can call this number if they didn't have it previous to coming into your establishment. Step in and partner with Rahab's Daughters. Let us help others by you also helping and stepping in and joining the movement. This is great information every week. Sam always has something interesting and important for all of us to learn from and to know, because she knows it firsthand, which is she's the reason for Rahab's Daughters. And I want to thank you, Sam, I know that we're at different time zones and we just make it happen because we care, because it's in our heart. And I believe it's our calling to do this, but I'm sure someone out there listening can say, I think that's something that I too need to do and get on board and join the movement.
Thank you so much, Eve. I'll look forward to hanging with you again next week.
Yes, it's great coming here with you, and more than anything is to what's most important is bringing awareness to our region, to our community, to the world. With that, guys, this is it for now with InView with Rahab's Daughters, and this is EVE signing off. And Sam, thank you for your time and just the love that you have for the community. We appreciate you. And with that, folks, until next time, we'll see you next week.